Tonight on the news, I will promote unity. Tinubu promises Nigerians. Senate can't stop demolition work at Lagos Airport, FG. I can't account for 6 trillion naira ground rent as SGF, Fashoda tells Senate. And on sport, Serie A, Okereke makes history in Cremonese's draw against AC Milan. For updates of our broadcast on YouTube, our handle is BGI TV Current. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell. Select option all to access all of our broadcasts. On Facebook, Bagede Imo with Alawiye Adebayo. Please like and follow the page. Now the news in detail. The President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu has promised that he will promote unity in Nigeria and be fair to all. Tinubu made a promise while inaugurating the Magistrate Court complex in Port Harcourt on Thursday today, built by the Governor Nyesom Wike-led administration. While commending his host for the edifice, he stated that what the governor has done was a way of fighting corruption by making the judicial officers more comfortable. He stated, I think a different angle to what Wike has done here today is fighting corruption. This is the way to fight corruption. You don't expect your judges, and you have been contributing very well to these. We fight corruption, and we definitely must look at the other side of the coin. If you don't want your judges to be corrupt, you got to pay attention to their welfare. If you want fair dispensation of justice, you don't want them to operate in hazardous conditions. Let's think value for value. If I don't have consumer credit and you want me to pay for the car I needed at once, 5 million naira, 6 million naira driving temptation to corruption. But if you have consumer credit, then that will reduce the propensity to corruption. We don't want our judges to play foul, to compromise justice in Nigeria. Moving on to the next story. Senate cannot stop the ongoing demolition of offices belonging to agencies doing aviation activities at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. The federal government has insisted. The Minister of Aviation, Adi Sirika, made this position known on Wednesday while briefing correspondents on the outcome of the Federal Executive Council, FEC, presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. His remark followed a motion by the Senate directing the government to halt the demolition to allow the Senate Committee on Aviation, chaired by Senator Biodun Olujimi, to intervene. Olujimi had drawn the attention of the upper legislative chamber to the warning strike threatened by the Union of Air Transport Employees, Air Transport Services Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Association of Nigeria Aviation Professionals, and National Association of Aircraft Pilots and Engineers. Now, responding to a question on the matter, Serika maintained that the Senate resolution is merely advisory and cannot stop the government from doing its work. He explained that the demolition of the makeshift structures will proceed to recover the space for the construction of befitting projects for Lagos and Nigeria. Serika argued, so we put its perspective, the intent of government is to remove the structure that is housing the offices of the managing director of FAN and those commercial departments. It was a structure that was made of wood. It's been there for over 40 years. It's caught fire twice, even during our administration. And to give way for better developments for what Lagos has become, it needs to give way. Going on to the next story. Works Minister Babatunde Fashoda has urged the Senate ad hoc committee investigating the 6 trillion naira unpaid ground rent to seek information from Boss Mustafa, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Mr. Fashoda said these when the Senate ad hoc committee, chaired by Adamu Aliru, PDP Kebbi, visited the ministry on Wednesday. The Senate had on March 29 set up an ad hoc committee to investigate and recover the over 6 trillion naira accrued from the non-payment of ground rent from property owners and owners across the country. The motion was moved by Yusuf, PDP Taraba. Mr. Fashoda, during the meeting, told the Senate committee that the Presidential Implementation Committee, PIC, that issued receipts on the property was under the purview of the SGF and not his ministry. The minister explained that he only knew about the activities of the PIC after requests were forwarded to him to sign a certificate of occupancy on the property. He added, as we are getting close to the end of term, I now formally wrote, I asked the Director of Land to write them, to tell them what they are doing. The PIC replied that they are not accountable to our office and they are in the SGF office and that they report to the presidency. So as far as your letter seeks to ask us to account for the PIC, they don't report to us. I will advise that you direct your inquiries about what the PIC does to the SGF. Since the organization does not report to me, I cannot account for them, Fashoda says. Moving on to the next story. The managing director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, has cautioned about the unforeseeable consequences that could be brought about by the retail central bank digital currency. She said she expressed her concern about the retail CBDCs in May 4th interview at the Milken Institute 2023 Global Conference. According to the IMF boss, the IMF considers retail CBDCs to have far more room for error than wholesale CBDCs. She said, we think that wholesale CBDCs can be put in place with fairly little space for undesirable surprises, whereas retail CBDCs completely transform the physical system in a way that we don't quite know what consequences it could bring. According to a report by Cointelegraph, retail CBDCs are stock-backed virtual currencies issued by central banks for use by consumers and businesses, while wholesale CBDCs are similarly central bank issued but are designed to allow physical institutions to carry reserve deposits with the central bank. The IMF MD noted that the organization was collaborating with about 50 countries to ensure best practices are adopted, which she expects to have a huge influence on banks and economies in the future. Earlier, the IMF had announced that it would publish a CBDC handbook to help central banks with CBDC design and implementation, a decision resulting from the unprecedented levels of interest from nations around the world. From that story, we'll go to the next one. The Oyo State House of Assembly has passed a bill into law to hinder the operation of motorcycles on the road beyond 10 p.m. Information is gathered that a bill, which was passed into law on Tuesday in Ibadan, was meant to reduce the use of motorcycles to commit crimes within the state. The chairman, House Committee on Works and Transport, Olatunde Kehinde, explained that the bill, which was a further amendment to the Control of Commercial Motorcycles Law 1995, also stipulates penalties and fines for those convicted for reckless or negligent riders. The Control of Commercial Motorcycles Further Amendment Bill in 2019 passed into law at plenary prescribes fines ranging from 5,000 to 15,000 naira for those apprehended engaging in commercial motorcycle operation beyond 10 p.m. While Section 7 stipulates those, any person who causes the death of another person by riding a motorcycle recklessly or at a speed or in a manner which is dangerous to the public having regard to all the circumstances of the case, including the nature, condition, and use of the road, and to the amount of traffic which is actually at the time or might reasonably be expected to be on the road, shall be guilty or an offense and liable on conviction to a fine of 100,000 naira or a term of 5 years imprisonment. From Oyo State, we go to the next story. The strike embarked upon by the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, in Imo State has left many passengers stranded at the Sam Mbakwe International Cargo Airport in Owerri. The strike called by the National Working Committee of the Union was as a result of a face-off between the Imo State government and the NLC. The union had accused the state government of assaulting some of its members during the May Day rally in Owerri. NLC barred airlines from taking off and landing at the airport after Labour instructed workers in the aviation sector at the airport to down tools. Hundreds of airline travelers who were unaware of the development were caught in the web at the Sam Mbakwe Airport and the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, where the Labour Union had also declared a no-flight to Owerri action. Flights to and fro Imo State have been seriously disrupted, forcing passengers coming to the state to make alternative arrangements. NLC Secretary General Emmanuel Ugwaja had in a letter stated that Labour would embark on a comprehensive industrial action against the state government with effect from Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023. Going on to Kano State. Tragedy struck on Wednesday evening in Kershin Quarter, Rimin Kebe quarters in Ungogo local government area of Kano State, when a teenager identified as Iro Warengwa stabbed his biological mother identified as Jumai to death over a disagreement. It was gathered that the incident occurred on a fateful day around 5:30 p.m. I was standing outside my house when I suddenly heard screaming from the deceased residents. An eyewitness who spoke on condition of anonymity told correspondents on ground. He revealed that upon rushing it for possible help, he found the deceased who was stabbed severely with a knife, screaming for help. The eyewitness revealed that the suspect fled the scene shortly after he allegedly committed the heinous crime against his mother. The witness further said the deceased was later rushed to the hospital in a tricycle with blood all over her body and was pronounced dead at the hospital. She said she had since yesterday been buried in accordance with Islamic rites. May Allah forgive her and admit her to paradise, the witness prayed. Going on to foreign story. Leaders of the indigenous people of Commonwealth on Thursday signed a letter urging King Charles III of the United Kingdom to apologize for the horrific impact of colonization. They also urged the King to launch a compensation mechanism for the indigenous people of the Commonwealth. The letter titled Apology, Reparation and Repatriation of Artifacts and Remains was issued a few days before the monarch's coronation scheduled for May 6th and brought together indigenous leaders of 12 Commonwealth countries. The countries include Antigua and Barbuda, New Zealand, Australia, the Bahamas, Belize, Canada, Grenada, Jamaica, Papua New Guinea, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucius, and St. Vincent and Grenadines. The undersigned called on the British monarch King Charles III on the date of his coronation being May 6, 2023, to acknowledge the horrific impact on and legacy of genocide and colonization on indigenous and enslaved people. The letter reads. Going on to the sports story that ends the world news from BGI TV this time. David Okereke has made history as the second Cremonese player to score against Inter Milan and AC Milan at the San Siro Stadium in the same season. Okereke gave Cremonese a shock lead in the first half of the thrilling encounter. The Nigerian change of direction sent Malik Till and Perry Kalulu to the floor before firing into the net. Junior Messias equalized for the Oaks from a deflected free kick deep into stoppage time. Okereke scored against Inter Milan at the San Siro earlier in the campaign. The forward has registered 7 goals for Cremonese this season. That sports story ends the world news from BGI TV Current. Before we go, some major headlines. I will promote unity, Tinubu promises Nigerians. Senate can't stop demolition work at Lagos Airport, FG declares. I can't account for 6 trillion naira ground rents. SGF needs to answer, Fashoda says. On sport, Syria, Okereke makes history in Cremonese's draw against AC Milan. For more updates on YouTube, our handle is BGI TV Current. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell, select option all to access our broadcast. On Facebook, Bagede Imo with Alawiye Adibayo. Please like and follow the page. For advert placement of goods and services, coverage of events and functions, please dial the phone number streaming on your screen for advert placements only. Thank you for watching. I am Morire Rabila Lawa. Good evening.